Hey guys, Mark back with a new financial video. Um, in my last video, I asked all of you to select which topic you wanted for the financial video for this week. So shout out to DME Brown for selecting this week's topic, talking about my credit card debt. I can't believe that I have not told you guys about my credit card debt because that's the only other debt I have except my student loans. And since this channel is all about finances, paying off debt, personal finance, it's something I should have told you guys about long ago. So I'm going to start off today apologizing because I might go off into a coughing fit. I've been sick for the last week, so if that happens, that's why. So right now, I have credit card debt, and I'm sitting at a balance of $3,786.89. And that sounds like a lot, but I'm honestly kind of relieved that it's only that much right now, because for the last 4 months, 6 months, I did not seem to be paying that down at all. I had to keep borrowing against it every paycheck because I was running out of money at the end of the paycheck, and I would like have to charge a few things and then I'd pay it off, and then charge a few things and pay it off, but I just wasn't getting anywhere. So anyway, guys, I'm sitting at $37.86 for my credit card debt right now, and I guess the reason I've never told you about it is just because with over $100,000 in student loans, $4,000 doesn't sound like that much. I've just kept up with the minimum payments on it, paid extra when I can, and it's not been that big of a concern. But I did realize that I'd forgotten to tell you guys about it, and I'm going to tell you the story of how I got into the debt, just to give you a better picture of how I got into the situation that I'm in. So I got my first credit card when I was 18. It might have even been 17. My grandparents actually signed me up for it. I don't know how that's legal, but they did. And they signed me up for this card, and I think it was a $250 or a $500 limit. And I had it for, I don't know, a couple years before I even used it. Ended up completely maxing it out. Couldn't pay it off. I think I did finally pay it off in collections or something, but it was a really stupid idea because I had no concept of money, and my grandparents never talked to me about money, period, ever, other than to sign me up for that card and be like, you're going to need this to build your credit, but didn't tell me how it worked or anything. So that was like 2003, 2004. Come further down the road, when I was in college, I started working on my credit, being concerned with it, monitoring my credit. There weren't things like Credit Karma and things like that back then. You had to actually pull your reports. And I was doing all of that around 2007. And then in 2008, I decided I was going to boost my credit score by getting a real credit card, which was when I applied for my Capital One card. And that's the same card that I still have now. The downside to it is it does have a $26 annual fee. When I first got it, it had a fairly low interest rate. It fluctuates, so sometimes it's kind of low, sometimes it's kind of high. But that is my main card that I have right now. The only other card I have is a Nordstrom store card, which I've never used. And it only has a $500 limit on it. I did at one time actually have a K Jewelers card that had an $8,500 limit on it. But unfortunately, I didn't understand that if you didn't use it ever, they eventually just cancel it. So it really sucks that I lost that much available credit on my credit report. I would have bought something, like an eyeglass cleaner or something to keep that active, but I didn't know that. So the deal with this credit card is that I had a absolute hell of a time paying this thing off. I got it in 2008 and didn't use it until that summer. Used it because I got stranded in Florida and used it for expenses to come back so I could be back in time for the semester to start. And then for like the next year and a half or so, maybe even almost 2 years, I couldn't find any work whatsoever. So it was kind of like an emergency expenses card. But there were quite a few emergency expenses. A lot of times it being food because I had no way to even get food. Um, I can't remember if I quite maxed it out. Back then, the credit limit on it was 3,000. It's 4,000 now, and I do remember it had a fairly low interest rate and a fairly low monthly payment. So it wasn't too much of a struggle, but that was like my main expense for the month was making that credit card payment, and a lot of times that was really difficult. Um, then we get into 2010, 2011 to 2012 when I graduated, and I was more gainfully employed. I was able to, I guess it was past due, and I ended up making a lot of extra payments and got it caught up. It had actually been shut down by Capital One, and then they actually called me and said that they knew I was working for minimum wage. They knew that was a lot of my income I was putting in there to pay that off, and they really appreciated that. And because of that, they dropped my interest rate, raised my credit limit, and reactivated the card. Which, from everything I've seen online, Capital One never reactivates cards once they're closed. So that really saved me because with the missed payments that I got on that, I probably never would have been able to get another card. Um, so this has been a huge help. Well, so fast forward to 2012, and I got the card paid down to where I only owed $400 on it. Then I went to Florida again, and on the way back, my car broke down, and I had to spend about $1,000 on the card to get, well, it was my brakes, and so to get my brakes fixed because they caught on fire, and that got me home. Well, so then I think I just paid the monthly payment after that. I didn't have the money right up front to pay it completely off, and I did that through, I don't know, 2013 and 14. But toward the end of 2014, I actually got a settlement. I don't know if I mentioned it in my video about how I got fired from Abercrombie and Fitch, but I actually sued the company and I won, and I got a big settlement. Not big settlement, but I got a settlement out of it. And it was enough to pay off the remaining balance on the card. So I finally paid it off. It was like January of 2015. Well, as you guys know, soon after that, end of March 2015, I moved to Columbus and I started a new job. 1 week after I moved up there, my car broke down. Again, this seems to be a recurring theme. These are all different cars, by the way, but I always have car trouble. And I had the money at the time that I had to rent these cars, right? And when you rent a car, they won't let you put it on a debit card. You have to put it on a credit card. And what I found with Enterprise is that it is absolutely like pulling teeth to get them to let you hold it on the credit card and then pay it on the debit card. And I mean, you have to make special phone calls at special times, and it is a huge pain in the ass. So after doing that a couple times, and then them being like, oh, well, it's too late, and you have to let us know at this different point, and they were charging to my credit card anyway, I was like, screw it, just charge it to the credit card. At the same time, I was making this huge effort to get my student loans from the brink of default. So I was like, you know what? I have a good job, just keep it on the credit card. And I ended up like making all these extra student loan payments rather than that money going toward the credit card. So it built up to there being about $2,000 on there. About halfway used up. And that's the way it stayed. And then I quit my job. I kept up with the minimum payments. And then in January 2016, I used it one time. I got a hotel room for a New Year's event. I didn't use it again. And then I pretty much maxed it out because when I got this job that I'm working right now, I was moving to Columbus and moving to the site that I was working on, but they didn't have anything immediately available. And I would have liked to have been a lot more in control of my housing selection than I was allowed to be. and I probably could have found some cheaper options. But unfortunately, for about a week and a half, I had to stay in hotels in Columbus, which is where the rest of the money went to. So since that point, like I said, I've been using the card as sort of a loan at the end of at the end of the pay period. But for the last 2 to 3 months, I've been able to not do that. And I've done that by not driving home and seeing my mom, which isn't ideal, but now that I know the mechanics have recommended that my car not go out of Columbus, now I have I guess, an excuse to do that rather than just saving money. But by doing that, I have been able to not take that loan from the card at the end. I've been able to make I'm actually making a little bit more than the minimum payment. The minimum payment on it, I think, is like $83 or $84. It went up to a maximum of 86, and now I'm just paying 86 a month toward it. If I had more money, I would put extra money toward it. I know ideally you pay it off in full. That's obviously not possible right now. So I am finally getting that paid off, and there's $3,700 to go. It's going to take a long time, but when I do get some windfalls, or if I get a new job and my income increases, I will start making extra payments to make that go by faster. So I think this is also one of the main things that is holding my credit score back. Maybe I'll make a video all about credit score, but it's gone up a lot, like almost 200 points since I moved to Columbus. And I've used some calculators, and it should go up another 50 to 75 points if I can get this paid off. So that would be amazing, because it's taken me almost 10 years to rebuild my credit from the first time that I was late on the credit card. And so this has been a huge deal for me to get this taken care of. So that's where I'm sitting, $3,700. Now, as you guys know, any proceeds that I get from YouTube goes to my debt, but it goes toward my student loan debt, not my credit card debt. And in fact, when you put this next to my student loans, I'm not even concerned about this. I'm going to make the minimum payments, make extra payments when I can, but I'm not going to worry about it otherwise. But I do like to see those numbers go down. So that's where I'm at with credit cards. I'm going to pay this one off, hopefully get into a position where I don't have to use one anymore. And, maybe use it once every year so it doesn't go inactive, but that's about it. So anyway, guys, I know that's not as interesting as my student loan story, but I will keep you updated as I'm getting this thing paid off. Maybe I'll do every 6 months. Maybe I'll do a yearly thing like I do with the student loans. But I can let you guys know when I do that. And maybe I'll do a celebration video when I get it paid off. Because this credit card is one of those 4 things that have to be paid off before I can start my business, which is number 1, the credit card. Number 2, the $1,900 student loan. That one's done. That's paid off. Number 3, the $17,200 and some, whatever is remaining in student loan. And the $2,700 student loan. So I've got 1 of the 4 done. This will more than likely be the 2nd of the 4. Then I'm going to go after that $2,700 student loan, get that taken care of, and then just throw everything at that $17,000 amount. I don't know if I have to get a second job or what it's going to take, but those will be the 4 things that I've been waiting the last 5 years to get paid off so that I can put all my money into this business. And that will be the point where you're going to see a lot of activity on this channel, a lot of progress and growth, because I'm going to be getting into new territories for me. I'm going to be explaining a lot of things, keeping you guys updated along the way as I'm buying properties, managing other properties, and really 2 things are going to happen. 1, my credit score is going to go way up by having these things paid off. And 2, it's going to free up a lot of money that I'm putting out every month, where I will be able to do something with that. I'm already saving for retirement. I already save for an emergency fund. My goal for that right now is $10,000, and this will free up a lot more money, because all I'll have left at that point would be, I think, 2 accounts that are in collections, 1 consolidation loan of federal loans, and 1 private loan left, which I mean, is not bad, seeing as how I started and how much money I've been able to pay off so quickly. So, anyway, guys, that's my story and a little bit of the plan of what's to come. Have any of you guys struggled with credit card debt? Because honestly, this is even worse than student loan debt. It's terrible. So let me know in the comments if you guys have had your own struggle or if you've made videos about it. Link them down below. I approve that type of comment, so put them there. It might catch them in the spam filter, but I'll put them up, and you can share with anybody else that's interested in this topic. Let me know also. I've got a couple of ideas of what I want to do for the next financial video in 3 weeks, but let me know if you have any ideas or anything you're curious about my finances, and I might make a video on that topic. So, again, guys, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Every 3rd week is a financial video. The rest of the videos are just about things going on in my life, and you can follow my journey to paying off debt and being financially independent. Also, if you will do me a favor, if you would share my video with somebody who's interested in the topic. I'm trying to build the channel here because the faster, more of an audience I have, the faster we're going to get these these video updates and get stuff paid off, because I'll be making a little more in advertising revenue. So I do really appreciate that you guys help me out in that way. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe and share, and I will see you guys next week.